wear a harness. And my harness is attached to my rope, and my rope to the sledge behind me, which at the outset of any expedition I've ever been on, can have up to 800 pounds weight sitting on top of it. 800 pounds, just the weight of about 5 decently made men. But it's only been dragged by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which means every one of us is dragging more than our own body weight. And to get it moving, just to shift it, that's a feat of coordination between the 4 of us. So sometimes when we do move it, we don't want to stop. So there are days when we don't. So you'd be hauling and dragging and hauling for 8, 10, 12 hours a day. And you are totally alone. For the wind blows so hard off the pole, you're in a cocoon. You can hardly hear yourself think, never mind talk. And you're hauling and dragging and hauling. And if you slip or slide or fall, you pick yourself up as fast as you can. And you race. And race to catch up with your colleagues. For you do not want to let them down by letting the rope slack. And you're hauling and dragging and hauling for 8, 10, 12 miles a day. And there are those, when I come home, they say to me, "Why, Tom? Why did you do it? Why did you go to the last place on earth? There's something wrong with you." And I think, of course, you've never been. You've never been. But you've just said why, haven't you? That's what I said to them. You just said why. The last place on earth. And as we set out in late October, within 2 weeks we thought we saw them in the distance. We saw a marker flag and the captain's ensign on it. And you move that on a daily basis. So we assumed, Jesus, they're alive. They're moving. They're alive. They're alive. They're alive. And Jeremy ran towards. But it wasn't a marker flag at all. It was merely the apex of the bell tent poking out of the ice. It had been totally submerged by the winter blizzards. We still dug the tent out, hoping. And as we opened the flaps, there was 3 in the tent, not 5. We never found, well, we found Oates' sleeping bag, but nothing of the lovely man, and nothing at all of my Welsh friend Taff Evans. And the 3 in the tent, Captain Scott was in the middle, and you could tell he had died last, because hadn't he put Bill and Birdie to bed alongside him, and they were as neat as a bug on a rug, their hands on their eyes like this. And I remember thinking, Jesus, they're in heaven already. But no one had put Captain Scott to bed. In his last moment in life could be torture. You could see how he had worked his way out of the bag trying to get the last breath. As a result, he lay there, all twisted and gnarled like an old tree in winter. But his thumb and forefinger still clutched the pencil, that he'd scrawled his last thoughts in life on the little book that was just there by his left ear. And his yellow face. Yellow. Slashed wide open with 3 deep gouges of frostbite across it. We took what things we thought would be of some value to the grieving families back home, and then pushed him back down into the bag to give him some dignity. We said a few prayers, and I closed his eyes, and I kissed him goodbye. I lost a good friend that morning in early November 1912, and they were only 11 miles from food. Within 1 day's sail, that's how near we were, 60 miles, 60. But didn't the temperature drop overnight by about 2 degrees? But it was enough, for when we awoke, we were stuck. Shackleton wrote, "What the ice wants, the ice gets." And Jesus had gotten us. And we were trapped, but we were trapped in frozen sea ice, which moves in the tide of the sea below. So for the 8 months while we were trapped, we were dragged 800 miles from where we were supposed to be. 800 miles up again the peninsula that stretches up to South America, which is land, and far less forgiving than ice when you're crushed again land. And when the crush came, which by God it did, it was like hell breaking loose. Two sides of our vessel been bared down upon by 3 independently moving ice floes. Millions of pounds of pressure like we had never felt before. And the oak beams snapping and twisting like twigs, making the sound of gunfire as they went. Bang, bang, bang! We were down in the hole for a day and a half, up to our necks in water, pumping and bailing, hammering, hammering, hammering for the life of our mother. But the ice wanted us, and it squeezed and lifted the ship up and listed her over the 45, and that's when we heard the word, abandon! But Jesus, we got off very fast, I can tell you, because we thought she was going any minute. So we got everything we thought we'd need to survive on the ice without her. We got the dogs, the stores, the seatbelts, the tents, the lifeboats, everything. And then she didn't go at all. She lay there for a week and a half, staring back at us. Eventually, her demise was heralded by the boss, Shackleton. We always knew him as the boss. She's going, lads! Just to move inside the clothing was painful. Worsley wrote, if I could be still for just 20 seconds, maybe life would be worth living. But on the 15th day, just on the cusp of the 16th, I saw weed. And another man bird. There was a bird, I saw a bird. And then we looked, we scanned it. It must be there, it must be there, it must. And there it was, about the size of a thumb on the horizon. There it was, South Georgia. And then darkness fell. Woof! Within sight of that blasted island, within its grasp of hope, darkness. And in that darkness, the wind and the waves conspired to finish us off. For as darkness grew, so did the wind. And within an hour, it was up to gale force 8. And another hour, it was up to gale force 10. And then Worsley, the Antipodean who knew the South Atlantic better than any of us, screaming in panic, that's veering into Hurricane 12. Hurricane 12 sank a 500-ton Argentinian steamship off the coast of South Georgia this same night. And here we are in a 21-foot wooden boat, going wherever the hell the wind and the waves wanted to take us. And it was taking us nearer and nearer to South Georgia, all right? Nearer and nearer to the south to the south coast of South Georgia, to the cliffs of the south coast. We could hear the waves crashing in the cliffs. We were getting nearer and nearer to certain death. Worsley threw his diary to the bottom and whimpered, no one will know. We got this close. But one man did not whimper. One man stood tall in the boat like a pole, and he made an order that proved to us he didn't have a clue about sailing, all right? Raise the sail! In a hurricane! But we did! We ran it up, and it was fit to burst. But before it bursted, Shackleton screamed, no! We tack directly into the wind! Tack? This lugger couldn't tack if you could talk to it. But we tacked, and we swung, and swung, and swung. And for 9 hours we tacked till every muscle, sinew, bone in our body was worn, and the boat worn with us. But for those 9 hours, we held our distance. And when the sun rose, the wind died, and we hadn't